it is tough to trust God when we don't understand what's going on, when nothing has changed year over year. When you've prayed and fasted and you know he can do it, but he hasn't, it's tough to trust God in those times. But we're called to worship through it all. I'm going to share a quick story. Actually just happened this week. I had to go up to Minneapolis for work this week, and it first started off so well. I mean, I got all the way from Sioux Falls to Minneapolis, and then I got to go about another 50 miles, and I did that all in a half a tank in a truck, which, if any of you guys have a truck, you're like, something's wrong with the gauge, you know? But everything was going really well, and then all of a sudden, here I am going to one of our bank branches, and all of a sudden I start hearing this noise in my truck. And I'm like, well, this isn't good. So I turn off the car as I got to the branch, and I'm like, yep, this is not good, because it still sounds like my car's running as the car is stopped. And I look inside, and I see the fans going 100 miles an hour, and I'm like, yep, I'm not a car guy. All I know is that's not normal, okay? So I have this meeting, and I decide that, I need to get the vehicle in to get checked. So I drive 50 miles to a place in Minneapolis that somebody recommended, and find out my thermostat's broken. And they're like, how far did you drive? I was like, yeah, about 50 miles. They're like, that's not recommended, by the way. But, it was one of those things and so here I am. I'm going up here for work, and I just had to fork over about $900 to have my truck fixed. And you would think, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal. But then the next morning, I'm going to another branch, and as I'm going there, I'm just like, I just feel like there's something wrong. I don't know what it is. I'm just like, I feel like there's something wrong. So I go to I take my car in again to a different place. They're like, yeah, the people that did it, they forgot to put the clamps on right, and so it's spraying coolant everywhere. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. So another $300 bill. So, I'm like, we're up to like $1,200, and I'm like, I'm stressed out. My wife is with me in Minneapolis because she was working there, and I said, I'm about ready to just cancel this, and let's just go home. Well, I'll come up to Minneapolis at a different time. And my wife jokingly said, she's like, well, maybe because I already knew what I was going to share on, she's like, well, maybe God's trying to teach you something. And I did listen to her. There was a little bit of wisdom there in that. But I found myself on the interstate in Minnesota just jamming out to worship music, and people looking at me all weird. But I'm telling you, though, you automatically forget about the things that are going on in your own life when you're worshiping him. See, it's easy to worry when we're thinking about ourselves. You can't worry when you're just giving it all to him. When you actually take time to actually just have real worship. I'm not talking about just music, guys. It's worship. That means laying it all down and just saying, God, I'm giving it everything to you.